Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar today. Just as some housekeeping notes at the beginning here, this webinar is being recorded. Everyone who registered for the webinar will receive a follow-up email tomorrow with a link to the recording. You can rewatch it. You can share it with colleagues who may be interested in this topic but weren't able to attend. This is also helpful if you get pulled away, within your department to answer questions or something like that. You can rest assured you'll be able to watch it in the future. If you have any questions, we have the question box, and you can enter them there. I'll be monitoring the question box, but most likely we'll wait to the end to go over those. But if something really interesting comes up, I might interrupt Mike or Brian to let them know. Just a reminder, the session is not for any kind of CEU credit. This is more educational or informative than educational. And with that, I'm going to hand it off to Mike Rizzo, our Director of Business Solutions, for an introduction.
Thank you very much, James. Hello, everybody. As James said, my name is Mike Rizzo. I'm the Director of Business Solutions here at ICC Community Development. And while we're waiting for a few more people to join the webinar and get their audio connected, I just wanted to very briefly touch on who we are before handing it over to Brian Hoodie for the demo. So there is a good chance that you know of either General Code, the International Code Council, or ICC Community Development. We are all part of the same organization, and we're always here to serve you. So many of you may be familiar with General Code, which is very well known for codification. E-Code houses codified laws and municipal information in one convenient location for access from anywhere at any time. MapLink helps constituents and municipal staff get quick answers to the most commonly asked zoning questions for properties within your community. You may also be familiar with the International Code Council, whose mission is to provide the information, tools, and resources that members rely on, building professionals turn to, and the public trusts. The ICC offers Digital Codes Premium, which provides a complete digital toolkit that code officials can use to access, manage, and share building codes and standards. And we are now partnered with ArchiStar for AI pre-checks that reduce permit approval times, increase quality of submissions, and enable transparent compliance reporting. Now, ICC Community Development, which is the organization that Brian and I are a part of, is known for Laserfiche, our content management and process automation software, which you will see in this session. We are also known for Municity, our e-permitting and code enforcement software. So all three of these organizations have been part of the same company, the ICC, for years, but we are now more closely aligned under the name ICC Innovation, a new initiative bringing together powerful digital solutions for professional development, community growth, and code compliance. Since we're a company that breaks down silos within our client organizations, it's only right that we are breaking down the silos within our own. In doing so, we're creating an ecosystem for all of these products. We built integrations between these products, so your e-code is accessible within Municity, Municity interacts with Laserfiche, and Digital Code Premium interacts with both ArchiStar and Municity. So after that introduction, I'm going to turn it over to Brian Hoodie, our Laserfiche Solutions Architect, who will give you a more in-depth look at Laserfiche Cloud, its features, and all of the benefits that your organization can realize with it. So take it away, Brian.
Hang on one second here. It's stalling out on me. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to take you guys through Laserfiche real quick. And as was mentioned, if you have any questions, go ahead and type them into the question box, and I'll get them answered as soon as possible. We're going to log into Laserfiche. You can log into Laserfiche Cloud through any base internet browser. So it'll work on Chrome, Edge, Safari, Firefox, and from pretty much anywhere. So whether you're on a tablet, you're on a phone, or you're in the office, you can log into Laserfiche. As we log into it, you can see that it is a folder-based application. It's very easy to understand this application, the basics of this application. We tend to train people to create logical folder structures. A lot of the data at some point in time could be turned out to the public through security and public portals that will allow folks to come in and research things. And I'll show you guys that in a few seconds. But we create these logical folder structures that make it easy for internal staff as well as constituents to be able to browse to and locate or even put information within those folders. Laserfiche can handle a variety of different kinds of data. You can simply drag and drop information into the repository, allowing you to name it, index it if you want to, and OCR it as it comes into the system. OCR stands for optical character recognition, which makes a document text searchable. You can put any kind of data in Laserfiche. It doesn't really care. You can put in audio, video. You can put in Word documents, PDF files, all sorts of stuff, emails. And so if you have to respond to something such as free of information requests, you can aggregate data. You can also scan into Laserfiche. So it has the ability to work with a variety of different scanners, as well as multifunction devices, but you can always drag and drop information into the system or simply hit the import button, browse to a local or network share and bring information into the repository that way. As Mike mentioned earlier about integrations, there's also integrations that can help bring information into the system, including an integration with Microsoft Office that allows the import of emails or Word documents directly into the Laserfiche repository. Laserfiche is also very secure. There's a lot of compliances. I'm not going to go through all the Laserfiche Cloud compliances right now. We'll include the link in the follow-up email that gives you a pretty good idea of the major compliances that it has. You can also lock down folders, documents, specific portions of a document from viewing as well in Laserfiche. So it does have the ability to redact. So we're going to look at a document view of Laserfiche. So this is the document I just brought into Laserfiche a second ago, and it's a simple image file. But I do have the ability to annotate that image at this point in time, so I can redact out specific pieces of information and prevent people from seeing those, both from a public-facing standpoint as well as an internal standpoint. This also allows me the ability to set up security to see through a redaction in this particular case, so allowing for a single copy of a record as opposed to having multiple copies, aka a redacted copy and then a clean copy of a document. So you can just have one copy and use security to lock down that information. So there's other annotations. I'm not going to go through all the annotations here in Laserfiche. Safe to say that you can throw a stamp on a document if you want to, put a note on a document. As well as highlight specific portions of the document to bring stuff to attention, for example. Those are all overlays on the actual image. They're not making any underlying changes to the record. And in the cloud, you can actually click on this Show Annotations button and turn them off if you so desire. And you have the rights to. Everything in Laserfiche is controlled by a series of rights. There also is a lot of metadata. So I mentioned OCR earlier, so I'll show you a different view here. And this is what's OCR'd on this particular document. So it's a typed document, and anything typed comes into the OCR, and I'm able to view that information. I can also search that information. So the searching is part and parcel to Laserfiche. So the ability to search via word search in Laserfiche is quite possible as well. You can also utilize an index in Laserfiche. An index is used for a variety of different reasons. A lot of times it can handle handwritten data. So if you have a permit or you have a vital record that's from the 1800s, early 1900s, stuff like that, you can still find it. You can throw in some indexing information. The index also can act as a integration point as well. So the ability to integrate between systems exists utilizing indexing data, such as a parcel ID or a section block and lot, last name, first name, that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of metadata associated with it. Some additional metadata can include, modification, creation date, who created it, et cetera, et cetera. There's a whole bunch of other information that's available through Laserfiche. There is some AI technology in Laserfiche. We get that question a lot, and there's quite a bit of AI technology. You can choose to use it or not. The summary option is basically just to create a quick one paragraph summary of what's in that document. So it can give me information on that document without having to go through and read the entire thing. And it may be a couple of paragraphs, so it's like a really long set of minutes or something like that. It may give you a couple of paragraphs depending on what's in the document itself. So to get information in is fairly simple. Again, drag and drop, file import, scan information into the system. It can handle your paper, it can handle your electronic documents. So it has the ability also to convert from an electronic source to a format such as TIFF or PDFA, so that you have that record stored for long-term needs. So I don't want to get too complicated and too into the weeds because they're just kind of introducing you to Laserfiche, but it does have the ability to plug in retention schedules as well. So state mandated retention schedules can be uploaded into Laserfiche and allow records to be managed through a retention schedule. So you have the ability to put in legal holds as well, disposition schedules and cutoff instructions. So there's a whole bunch of things that you can do with records management. So everything is also rights based in Laserfiche. I can create a view in here for internal staff that allow them access to certain folders, but not other folders. I can also allow them to see specific documents, but not other documents. So it's safe to say as I can create a repository that has access for all department sets within a municipality. So it doesn't matter what kind of record it is. And yes, you can secure HR personnel records, finance records, that kind of stuff. We've had people utilizing that for quite some time with Laserfiche. They have the ability to do that as well. So again, depending on your rights, allows you to create folders. It's simple as right-clicking, creating a new folder, giving it a name, and then hitting OK. And that folder then is ready to put information into. You can also, and I won't get too deep into this, but you can also utilize a workflow engine in Laserfiche. So the ability to have workflow make decisions based upon specific criteria like document type, create a folder, that kind of stuff can automatically be done with the Laserfiche workflow engine. So it has the ability to make some decisions as well as route documents through the system. Not only to create folder structures and name documents and file them into the folder structure, but also for approval as well. So if you need to send a contract to an administrator for review and to legal for review, you could do something like that in Laserfiche. So you can send document sets and folder sets for that matter over to people for review. So, okay. You can also get information back out of Laserfiche. So the ability to send information back out to a constituent or to an internal staff member is something that's pretty easy to do in Laserfiche. Again, you can right-click something in Laserfiche. It gives you a fairly simple menu. And a lot of this is very similar to what you may see in Windows when you're cutting and pasting or dragging and dropping information in between folder structures. One of the things that when I right-click that I have the ability to do is share. And through that share, there's a couple of things that I can do. I can email this sample one document out to whoever I type that address into with a subject. I can put additional information and a message in there as well, and then email that information. And you can do multiple files. With email, of course, there's a limit on your local email filter that usually allows between 10 and 20 megabytes of data. So it's not necessarily a lot of data, which leads me into direct share. which is very similar but different in that I can go ahead and email that information out to somebody, and I can do up to 200 megs at a time. And this could be like a FOIA request, for example, or something of that ilk. It has the ability to set up an expiration link, as well as specific password selection. So for HIPAA compliance and stuff like that, I could set a password on this that goes out to either the constituent or internal staff. The moral of the story with this particular method is that it's trackable. So when the person on the other end receives an email with a link to the copy of sample 1, it is a copy of that that's put in the temporary cloud storage location that's separate from your repository. That person can then enter into that separate location and then download that sample 1 file. When they have downloaded that file, you are notified via email that they have downloaded the file or files from that temporary storage location. So for compliance purposes, it works quite well because you have proof that somebody then opened up that link and then grab those documents from that temporary location. So you can also now send information back out to somebody if you need to as well. There also are ways to share, as I mentioned at the beginning of this, there are ways to share information to the general public through the Laserfiche system. And a lot of times that is the ultimate goal. So part of it's obviously the content management, part of it may be records management, part of it may be automation, integration, that kind of stuff, but part of it may also be the ability to give information to constituents so that I avoid stuff like public records requests, I avoid questions, and I also just have a specific amount of transparency with my records as well. And so you can do that through the Laserfiche public portal through security. And I'm just going to show you a couple of quick sites in a second here. You can also utilize Laserfiche forms, so the ability for somebody to fill out a form from either internal staff or external, an externally facing portal that allows somebody to fill out a form for a specific reason. And that reason can be a multitude of things. It could be a FOIA request. It could be a request for information. It could be something like chicken keeping, which I'm going to show you guys in a second. So there's a variety of different kinds of forms that you can create. Internal forms might be related to HR stuff. So I can create that, like, asking for a vacation or, applying for the ability to go on a specific work trip or something like that. That kind of stuff can be done for internal folks as well. So we're going to go visit a couple of client sites real quick. So the first one is a customer that has quite a bit of information out through the Laserfiche public portal. You simply integrate it into your website, which really is nothing other than a link that shoots back into your Laserfiche repository and then displays whatever information that the municipality has decided to give access to for the constituency. And you can see here for Sunset Valley, they've got quite a bit of information out there, but it's a very easy to understand folder structure. So you can come in here from a public facing standpoint and you can just open up a document, view it, search it, or even download a copy of that record from the Laserfiche public portal site. You can download and take a copy of that away as well. So, and there's a variety of ways that you can do it. You can do it per folder if you want to. So if you want to give them access to specific folders rather than a whole bunch of folders, you could do that. You can also integrate it with third-party systems, as I mentioned kind of at the beginning of the broadcast. So we're going to look real quick at a GIS system here and the ability to tie those systems together utilizing the Laserfiche public portal. So I'll just type in a parcel search here in the GIS system, locate that parcel, and now I have specific metadata that exists here in the GIS system. And that's the parcel ID. You can see it right front and center right there, the 042.0, blah, 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 blah. All that kind of information is right there. And what I can do is I can launch a search into the Laserfiche public portal based on that parcel ID. but I don't care about the rest of the information. I don't care about what else is in the public portal. I just want to see if there's any legacy information that might exist in Laserfiche related to that particular parcel. So I can hit this link in the link layer of the GIS system, and it launches a search and returns results for that particular parcel. So you have that ability to integrate these two systems together through the Laserfiche public portal. And again, it's using that metadata that I mentioned earlier. So any of the metadata that might be on a specific record could trigger that search. And in this particular case, that's exactly what happened. It triggered a search for the parcel ID 042.0, et cetera, et cetera. So it's got that ability to essentially utilize that portal for integration purposes. And as Mike mentioned, we have integration points with a lot of different applications, including some of the applications that we support, including Municity. But there's a lot of others as well that we can integrate with. And that's the whole purpose, obviously, is to break down said silos. So the ability to share information between systems can also be seen as a cost-cutting measure. I don't have to have those, and because a lot of the stuff we're talking about with systems these days is cloud-based, right? A lot of them are cloud-based. And do you need to have 3 copies of the same record in 3 different cloud systems? Probably not, because you're paying for it 3 times, essentially. Whereas I could basically, if possible, link to a record through a third-party application like this. So that's something else that can be done and obviously thought about when you're talking about the content management system or the records management system, aka Laserfiche. So it is hosted on AWS. So Amazon Web Services is the host for Laserfiche Cloud. And there's several different versions of Laserfiche Cloud. You can start small and you can build your way up. We have had people do that. They'll start with just one department with one specific project in mind. Once you have a few wins under your belt, it's pretty easy to bring in the rest of the departments. Once they see the ability to locate information, share information, transparency, that kind of stuff, then people tend to get on board pretty quickly. And speaking of searching, we're going to take a quick look at that as well. There is a ton of different search filters. You can just do a quick Google search if you want to right here. You can just type in any search criteria, hit search, and it will search through the repository and return results based upon that search criteria. And you can click on a result and you can see where in a particular document, for example, that hit comes in. And I can go ahead and double click that hit and be brought directly to that page. And it highlights the word for me. And now I can kind of bounce back and forth between the hits if I want to as well. I can just hit this down arrow and move through the different hits if I want to. I can leave the tab open, which is nice. So I can open up multiple tabs. Or if I want to close it and go back to my search results and then highlight another document, I can do that as well. So there's a variety of ways that you can look at this information. There is some AI technology in here that may allow me to check these records for specific things like PII is big, like personal identifying information that might be in a record. Before I send it out, I can do a search, locate those kinds of records, and then run an AI check on it that says, hey, is there any social security number type information or driver's license information, et cetera, that might be in these documents. So you have some AI technology to kind of check your work if you so desire as well through the search right now, or just through a regular browse to a specific record. Okay, and you can save any of your searches. You can just hit save and give it a name that it becomes a saved search, and you can just drop that search down and search it whenever you want to. This is the primary search window, so I can turn things on and off if I want to. So if I don't want to do a date or a template search, I can just hit the X and close it. Right now I'm searching in the entire repository, but I also have the rights to search in a specific portion of the repository. So if I want to search within a specific folder, I can do that. And a lot of times that helps pare down the information. So I'm not searching through hundreds or dozens of documents at a time. I said, well, I really want to be able to just look through the minutes. I don't care about the rest of the data in the repository. You can select this feature, hit the ellipsis, dig into the repository like so. Go to the meeting minutes folder, hit OK, redo your search, and now it's just going to find stuff in the meeting minutes folder. So it cuts down the amount of time that I have to search through things. And a lot of times people use this search because they have a general idea of what they're looking for. They're looking for a minute, so I don't really care about other stuff like old permits or vital records or whatever else they might have access to within the repository. Again, you can save that search and then come back to that search whenever you want to as well. So you can also do an index-only search if you want. So the ability to search on an index is also something that's possible. You can click off of everything, hit Add Filter, and then you can look through all the different searches that are available in Laserfiche and add one in if you want to. And it looks daunting, but it's really not that daunting. People tend to settle on a specific set number of ways to search in the repository. Depends on the record set. You know, if you're looking for minutes only, you may use a regular just text search all the time. That's all you care about. If you're looking for vital records that are older, you might use an index search. Or if you're looking for building permits, you might use an index search. If you're a records manager, then you're going to have specific records management searches. And those are they can be completely independent of the repository as far as the rest of the people are concerned. You can set up rights so that only records manager have access to those searches. And then you can run those searches. But I could do an index search, click on OK, and then whatever indexes I have access to. Again, I can set up security so that people don't have access to an index, or if they do have access to an index, they only have base access. They can look at it, they can maybe search it, but they can't make any changes to the index. So when I search on an index, it'll return those results, based upon information that's in that index field. And I can also pare that down, obviously. I can click on an index and put in more pertinent information. Like if I had information like parcel ID, for example, I could search on this parcel ID and locate just that parcel ID. So I have the ability to search through indexes that way as well. Okay, so there's a variety of ways to search. And for compliance purposes, there also is an underlying audit that's going on in the background of Laserfiche. So anything that changes in the repository or is searched or viewed, printed, downloaded, etc., can be audited for internal use. So I can see who's done what to a document set, when they created it, when they modified it, all that kind of stuff. So there is compliance around that as well through the Laserfiche audit trail. So just want to assure people that there is a lot of security and a lot of compliance around the cloud application. Okay. So I think that's my spiel for today. I don't want to get too deep into the weeds. I wanted this to be a very simple introductory to Laserfiche, so that you can understand that you have the ability to put your records into the repository, manage those records, records management if you want to, as well as the ability to utilize stuff like the Laserfiche public portal. Oh, I forgot one thing. I was going to show you guys the form real quick. Let me just go over here. So we looked at the public portal real quick. We're going to look at one more thing. We're going to look at the chicken keeping form. So the ability to put a form out for the general public is something that's also possible with Laserfiche. This one is just, again, it's a form that's embedded on the website. I can click on the link and it's going to bring me to a Laserfiche based form. You've probably seen web forms like this. The big difference is it's going to interact directly with the repository, and it's going to store the information in the repository when it's either approved or denied. So you can customize these. There's some city code here. Anything with the red asterisks is a mandatory field that needs to be filled out before it can be submitted. And you have the ability to upload stuff such as a certificate of completion to this document, sign it, capture it. It was filled out. Then you'll get a submit button. You can submit that into the city. It goes to the zoning department for review. The zoning department reviews all the information, checks the certificate of completion, and then sends information out for the permit, for example. There also is the option to take payment through these Laserfiche forms processes as well. So, all right. That's the end of my spiel. So I will be quiet now and see if any questions have come in, or if there are any other questions that might have arisen during the demo.
Thank you so much, Brian. No questions have come in yet, but that's a good reminder to everyone on the line that there's the question box. If you have any thing you'd like to ask us for, let us know. We're here for you. And I just want to, hopefully I'm sharing my screen. If you're interested in what you've seen today, you can reach out to us by email at sales@icc-cds.com, or you can check out our website at www.icc-cds.com, where there's not only information about Laserfiche, but our other products as well. And with that, I'll check the question box. Still no questions, so that may be it, Brian. And
All right.
thank you so much for your knowledge and your expertise and sharing it with us today.
Thanks.
All right, everyone, have a great day.